Good afternoon, children. This is Grandma Carla with Abby Lost at Sea, Chapter 17. And I am very excited. We are getting close to the end of this book, but this is a series and it goes on for quite a while. So we have many adventures to come of Abby and her friend Luke. For several hours, Abby, Luke, and Captain Chandler worked their way down the mountain through groves of kukua and koa. By the time they sighted Alani's village, the sun had set and another full moon was rising. As they drew near Alani's home, set back from the beach, Sugar neighed loudly. Although torches and a few fires burned in the village, the light of the moon was so bright that Abby could see clearly. There, anchored 100 feet from shore, was the Flying Lady, occupied by the mutineers. Abby dismounted and led Sugar toward Alani's house. The captain and Luke walked behind. As they approached Alani's open door, Sugar neighed again. Through the door frame stepped a large Hawaiian man. He almost collided with Abby. Peering closely at her, his face was transformed by joy. "It is you, little Wahine," Kimo beamed at her. "Kimo, how good it is to see a familiar face. Are my mother and father all right?" He came up to Abby and bent down, rubbing her nose with his own. Abby knew this was the customary greeting of love between Hawaiians, and she was warmed by the gesture. The large man stepped back. "You returned to us from sleep of death. Kimo told you storm coming." Abby laughed. "I'll never doubt your nose again, Kimo." His handsome features held a look of deep satisfaction. "Your parents, they will know much joy soon," Kimo said. "Oh, Kimo, it's good to hear of them. Did they go to my uncle's ranch?" "Yes, Wahine. They are there with little Wahine, Sarah. I call her No, the Mist. Her white hair like Alani's, my royal mother." Captain Chandler stepped forward then, and Abby introduced him. "The captain was going to give us a ride here, but his men mutinied, Kimo, all because one man had a treasure map. We barely escaped with our lives. Jackal wanted to kill us all, or sell us into slavery." Kimo scowled. "I think we teach lesson for this Jackal. Alani met him today when the ship dropped anchor here. He is much rude. We worried when he followed your trail, but now I think we plan a nui, big welcome for him." "That's just what I had in mind," Captain Chandler said. "Kimo," Abby added, "this is Luke, my friend from California. He was a stowaway on your ship." Kimo's eyes widened. "You tricked us?" he said to Luke. "Yes, sir. I'm sorry," Luke said, scuffing his toe in the dirt. Kimo's smile evaporated. "Abby, you join Olani. I want to take Captain to meet my friends. Together we fix things quick like. You, Luke, come with us. We soon see if you are as good a fighter as you are a hider." Poor Luke, Abby thought, but she was still glad to have Kimo on their side. Alani welcomed Abby into her home. Although it was a large grass house on the outside, inside it was beautifully decorated with hand-carved furniture from Boston. There was a dining table graced with a white and gold tea set. In a nearby corner stood a china hutch. In the opposite corner, a mahogany roll-top desk with a quill and inkwell stood near a lovely four-poster bed with red silk coverlet. "Abby, rest here," Alani said, pointing to the luxurious bed. "Oh, no, Alani, I couldn't. That's your bed." Alani only laughed. "No, this is guest bed. I use sleeping mat like always. Old way, die hard." "I'm too excited to sleep right now, Alani, but could I sit at your desk for a bit?" "Ah, you know to read and write?" "Yes." An idea had formed in Abby's mind. She smiled as she thought about how to get it on paper. "Good. I get you tapa for work on. It like paper. Use ink on desk. Alani be back soon." After Alani returned with the brown tapa, she left Abby alone. Abby rubbed the tapa between her fingers. It was almost as soft as silk, but it rustled like paper. She dipped the quill in the ink and bent over the tapa. While she worked, she heard Olani return with her friends. They rolled out their sleeping mats under the stars at the hut's entrance. When Abby's eyes grew heavy from her task, she rose and made her way to the bed. She sighed as she sank into the red silk coverlet, which was more beautiful than any she had ever had at home. Then she trimmed the oil lamp on the bedstand, and the hut was thrown into darkness. Abby sank into the plush pillows and was soon lulled to sleep. 3 hours passed as Captain Chandler, Chemo, and Luke prepared their surprise. They moved through the sleeping village, waking the strongest and bravest men Chemo knew. He had told the captain that Jackal had left the ship with 5 crewmen. That meant 14 men were left on board. They decided to hike a mile to another village to raise up an army of 20 strong warriors. Gathering silently on Kalua Beach, the brave Kanaka tied their loincloths tightly about them. Captain Chandler and Luke removed their shirts and shoes. Each man unsheathed his knife and clenched it between his teeth as he slipped into the moon-frosted sea and swam toward the anchored ship. The water felt cool to Luke initially, but it soon became refreshing. It would have been an enjoyable swim, he thought, but for the fact that blood might soon be shed. He hoped it wouldn't be his. Chemo had given him a dagger, but he'd never fought a man before. When the 20 Kanaka, who were used to swimming these waters, reached the ship a bit ahead of Luke and Captain Chandler, they gathered around the anchor chain at the bow of the ship. The anchor line stayed taut, but the ship bobbed up and down. The captain removed the knife from his mouth and whispered, "I'll go up the chain first, so if there's trouble, it will fall on me." He gripped the blade between his teeth again and began to pull himself up the cable. Water splashed off the captain as he climbed up, and Luke cringed. He hoped no one had heard as he followed the captain, clinging to the slippery chain with both his fingers and toes. Suddenly, he saw a glow of light moving toward the bow of the ship. Luke could see Captain Chandler hadn't yet noticed. Had someone heard them? Just then, a lantern shone off the bow, revealing the captain and Luke in a dripping, awkward pose. "Captain, is that ye?" questioned Mr. Job. The light reflecting on his face showed raised white eyebrows. The captain, unable to do more than grunt, pierced his first mate with eagle eyes. Mr. Job's white eyebrows drew together in astonishment as he glanced over the captain and saw the many Kanaka treading water below. "Why, by the grace of the Almighty, you've come to reclaim your ship, sir." Mr. Job doused the light. "Come round to the gangway, Captain, and I'll be letting down the rope ladder." He hurried away. Most of the men swam around to midship, but Captain Chandler kept climbing. Luke followed him. When their feet touched the deck, the captain took the blade from his mouth and motioned Luke to crouch down. The deck was empty. Mr. Job had not given them away. A moment later, the Hawaiians climbed onto the deck, dripping but silent. The captain and Luke joined them, and they spoke in whispers. "Mr. Job, where are the men?" Captain Chandler asked. "Sleeping off another bench, sir, and never have I been so glad to have a crew drunk." The captain placed a hand on Mr. Job's shoulder. "Well done, Job," he said quietly. "Sir, 2 of the men, Smithers and Woodruff, have come to me complaining about Jackal. They said they wished there'd been a way to give ye back your ship. I think we can count on them, sir." Captain Chandler paused. "When we come upon them, we'll see their reaction. If they fight us, it's to the brig with them. But if they support us, I'll reinstate them." Just as Luke came up behind the captain and Mr. Job, a head peered out of the forward hatch. Instinctively, Luke grabbed the wooden bucket nearby and jammed it over the sailor's head. A muffled scream erupted from under the bucket, but Luke grabbed the drunken sailor by the shirt and dragged him up through the hatch. The captain and the Hawaiians rushed over. Within seconds, the salty dog hit the deck with a thud and was immediately bound with ropes and gagged. The captain clapped Luke on the back. Good job, Luke. Chemo looked on appreciatively. Not bad for a hey-old boy who stows away. Luke warmed to the praise and adventure. Let's go get the rest of the sea dogs, he said enthusiastically. 23 grins shone in the moonlight as the captain led the way down the hatch. And that is the end of chapter 17 of Abby Lost at Sea. Isn't this an exciting adventure?